It's been an interesting couple of weeks, but
Yeah.
obviously some high highs and some low lows, but overall doing really well, thanks.
Good, good. Just wait till Aaron's recording and we'll
Tell me he's recording. Tell me you're good.
We're good, we're good.
Okay, all right. Well, Harrison, I think, is ready to jump in first, so go ahead, Harrison.
Thank you. Hey, Coach. I know your goals go far beyond it, but what are your overall impressions on your highest ranking in school history and the national attention that your team's getting early in the season here?
Yeah, obviously it's nice, obviously, to get some national recognition, certainly after where we were at this point last year. But I don't think we're getting carried away. I mean, we've talked a lot about, our goals this year as a team, and we're obviously hitting a lot of those early in the season, but we know that it's where you finish that matters and not where you start. So I think the girls are very hungry at the moment, and just looking ahead to the next game tomorrow against ULL. But obviously, I think it's always nice to get some positive press and just a little reward for all the work that they've put in over the last 12 to 18 months since we've been here.
Was there a game in the fall last year, whether it was in the SEC tournament or even before that, where you kind of saw it coming together, like, all right, we're right on the precipice of where I want to be, kind of thing?
Yeah, I think the Texas A&M regular season game when we were at College Station, we lost 2-1 in that game, but I think just the performance against a top team like Texas A&M in that moment gave us a lot of belief that we could go into the SEC tournament and make a statement, so to speak. Obviously, we didn't make as big of a statement as we would have liked, but just getting those first 2 wins against Alabama and Ole Miss and the confidence that came out of that. And I genuinely believe if we weren't playing our 3rd game in 5 days against a fresh A&M team, that even that game could have possibly been a different result. And then to see how deep that Texas A&M went in the national tournament, in the springtime, and obviously the results that we were able to get in the spring, I felt pretty strongly coming into the fall that we had the makings of a really deep team, and that we could, rise and roar was our tagline for this season, because we knew that we were a program on the rise and we weren't coming quietly. That was sort of our messaging behind Rise and Roar, is like we wanted to make a statement early in the season, and obviously, we've certainly done that. But I would say that Texas A&M game on the road last year for sure was the time. And we had felt in a couple of performances previous to that game, Mizzou on the road, Mississippi State on the road, like it was coming. We were just getting punished for a couple of mistakes. We had some really critical players missing in those games for COVID. So, I mean, we felt like that there was a momentum building behind the scenes. We just didn't necessarily get the results that we hoped for. And then obviously things shifted late in the season for us and continued through the spring. Oh.
I was going to say, since the calendar year started, you guys are, I think, 12-1-1. Talk about the confidence. Does every win just kind of build that confidence, and once you start winning, you have that belief?
Yeah, I definitely think that there is a confidence in this group at the moment that every time we take the field, and it doesn't matter who is on the field at any given moment, that we are one. Like the unity in the team at the moment and the way that they're competing and fighting for each other is just unbelievable. And I think we obviously, as a staff, put in a lot of work in preseason on integrating the 11 new players that we brought in, and team chemistry and cohesion, and just building that sort of mindset, I think, is really important off the field in order to get into a situation like we had on Sunday, where we go a goal down in 38 seconds, and then the response you see immediately. So yeah, no, the confidence is really high. I think it doesn't matter who we're playing against, whether it's a top 25 team or a team that's not ranked at the moment. There's just this excitement and this belief every time we take the field that we're going to score goals, which wasn't necessarily there last year, but that we're going to be very organized and difficult to break down defensively. And I think that is where a lot of our success has sort of come from. In the spring, we were very organized and difficult to break down defensively. We were winning games 1-0, and now we've added a couple of transfers that I think have really helped us in the attacking third in Alicia Garcia and Athena Kuhn, and it's given the belief of those around them, like a Tanesha Alexander, Rami Noel, Maddie Moreau, just a different level of belief when we get into the attack that we're going to score goals and we look really dangerous. And I know that's what the Tiger fans want, right? That's what I was told when I got here. They want goals. So we're doing our best to uphold our end of the bargain there.
Hey, Coach. I haven't seen every match this season, but every time I turn it on, I'm amazed by, I guess, kind of the flair of Tanesha. Can you even describe kind of her attitude out there on the pitch and how she kind of affects her teammates with that confidence?
Yeah, she is just so much fun, right? Every time she gets on the ball, she's capable of a moment of magic, whether that is, getting herself in behind for a finish, whether that's playing a teammate in with a little sophisticated outside of the football or a little flick over somebody's head. So I think she's definitely a fan's favorite. She gets me off my seat at times on the sideline, and she's just a special talent. And, I think what I've told her all season long is, she just has to come alive in the moments where we get in behind and we get end line for a service. I want her to be a little bit more hungry in the box, because I think she could score probably 3 or 4 more goals at this point in the season if she's willing to, she wants to consistently be behind the ball where she gets a ball pulled to the top of the 18 for a bent finish. But I think if she does the work, she could possibly score a few tap-ins as well. I tell her it doesn't have to be a worldly all the time, Tanesha. You can score one off your shin or a tap-in in the 6-yard box too. But that's the kind of player she is. I think she's just thrives in moments where she can excite people and she can pull out all of her tricks. And we certainly want to encourage that because that's what the game's all about, right? We want to have some fun and we want to have all that flair and creativity in the attacking third.
Coach, this is Randy. You mentioned having fun. Rami Noel, in one of her interviews after a match, said she was having fun this year. Certainly winning is fun, but is there something else going on this year as opposed to the past that is giving the players a better ride?
Well, last year we were pretty restricted in terms of what we were allowed to do off the field because of COVID. So I will tell you that one of probably the most important things in terms of my approach as a coach is I believe strongly in you have to have fun off the field and keep things entertaining off the field and get to know your teammates, at a really deep level off the field. And I think we've been able to do a lot more this year in terms of that culture and that, team camaraderie piece than we were allowed to last year. And I think that just translates then to the players. I think just their willingness to grind and put a shift in on the field when they're having a lot of fun in terms of the whole experience. And not to say that we didn't have fun last year. It was just pretty limited. We couldn't sit in meetings together for longer than 15 minutes. And there was just a lot of limits on what we were able to do last year because of COVID that we haven't necessarily had to, be super vigilant about this year. The majority of our team is vaccinated. But I think the fun for Rami is also coming from the standpoint of she is playing really well. I mean, she's seeing a huge shift in her ability to be creative in the final third. We've done a lot of work on her ball striking over the course of the last 18 months. Laura Busby, my assistant coach, has just been phenomenal in terms of that component. And Rami's somebody that's just grown tremendously, I think, since we've been here. And so I think she's having fun on the field too, and she's seeing just so much growth in her game. But we did get to go to Disney. You'll see some stuff come out today. We did get to go to Disney when we were in Orlando, and we stayed at a nice resort in Arizona. Did a nice little hibachi dinner on Sunday after our win at ASU. And so again, I think just the whole experience this year has been a lot more balanced because we haven't had to deal with the COVID component quite as much.
Coach, you were talking about earlier how organized you've been. I was looking at the stats. You defensively, and combined with offense, obviously, you're out shooting opponents, and shots on goal are more than 2-1 throughout the season. So just talk about that attacking style, but also the organization defensively to keep opponents' chances to a minimum.
Yeah, you know, where our main formation at the moment is a 3-5-2. So at any given moment, we could push our wing backs high and be in a front four, or sit our wing backs deep and be in a back five. And so I think this system just gives us a lot of tactical flexibility. But because of the pace that we have in wide spaces, I mean, Ramey, Maddie, Savannah Mills, Lindsay Jennings, I mean, those Tilly Wilkes, I mean, those players are able to create so much for us in wide spaces. And then our two center forwards are typically sitting on their two center backs. And so when we break fast, when we're in counter-attacking moments and we get forward quickly, we typically find ourselves in equal numbers or numbers up situations. And I think that's been a huge component in our ability to score goals this season. I think there was a stat that came out the other day that we're in the top 10 of goals scored across the country, but we have the hardest RPI of any of those teams. So that's a huge factor for us at the moment, not that we're scoring a lot of goals, but we're scoring a lot of goals against really good teams. So I think that, again, the confidence from that is coming because we know that whoever's on the other side of the field, we're able to create chances. And if I'm being honest, against Arizona State on Sunday, they created just as many opportunities as we did. Molly Swift obviously came up with some huge saves for us, but we were able to capitalize on those chances and they weren't. So I would say in the time that I've been at LSU, Sunday was probably the first time where I would say we were really clinical in front of goal and our finishing percentages were really, really high. So that was great to see. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, Molly Swift's obviously a goalkeeper that's gone from coming in from the Division II level to somebody that might have been sort of questioning whether they could compete at this level, to now looking like one of the best goalkeepers, I think, in the country in terms of her confidence and her belief in her game. And even in moments where we do get opened up like we did against ASU, you know, I think if the penalty is on target on Sunday, she probably saves that. She had 2 or 3 other phenomenal saves for us. So her confidence is so high at the moment, and even though we're defending with a back 3 at times and not a back 4, you know, the girls are doing fantastic. Kiara Ritchie-Williams just does an unbelievable job for us in front of the back 3. She doesn't get a lot of plaudits, but the role that she plays for us is absolutely huge. Alongside Shannon Cook, they sort of sit in front of each other, and those two, it's like the British connection back there. They're, you know, they're on the same wavelength, and they organize everything for us in that defensive unit.
Well, I've got one more if nobody else has anything. I want to ask you, and you kind of touched on it a little there, because my story's airing next week on Tiger Tracks. When you play next Saturday, you'll have been away from home for almost a month and had all of this success on the road. So how, I don't know, gratifying, I guess is the best way to put it, to go away from home for so long, have all this success against ranked teams, to build into your SEC schedule and your home schedule full bore.
Yeah, you know, when we looked at that 3-week schedule on the road, you know, it was definitely a conversation of, you know, if we can get home with, you know, maybe even 3 of 5 wins, 4 of 5 wins would be great, but even 3 of 5 and maybe a tie and a loss, that we would take it because of the strength of schedule that we were facing. So to get 4 wins out of 4 out of Florida and Arizona trips was absolutely massive. I was really worried on Sunday just sort of the emotional hangover of how long we had been gone, in addition to the hurricane efforts at home and obviously a lot of the players' families being affected, how we were going to respond on Sunday in that last game in 104-degree temperatures. But I mean, the girls came out, obviously took that one on the chin in the first minute and then responded, tremendously well. But ULL, obviously it's a local rivalry, and I'm sure they're thrilled to have us going there. We want to play in front of our fans in Lafayette, and I know Maddie and Ramey are excited to go home. I think their whole club's coming out to watch the game. So it's going to be a difficult, it's going to be another difficult test for us. Lance has done a fantastic job at ULL, and they won't be an easy opponent by any stretch. Different opponent from what we faced obviously at ASU in terms of the way that they play, but it's definitely going to be a dogfight, I know that, and a local rivalry game. But like I said, I think we've consistently used a lot of players this season. We're getting goals from a lot of different areas in the team, and the belief and the spirit of the girls is really high. So we'll hop on a bus for an hour. It'll be a lot easier of a trip. And hopefully we'll be celebrating and singing the whole way home.